Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I present Project TICO. Today's pharmaceutical industry is cumbersome, inefficient, and channeled through fixed reactor vessels, often producing side products and pollutants. Many medicines are inaccessible for billions and could degrade in transport. Modern problems require modern solutions, and this presentation discusses how to fold factories into briefcases and integrate multimodal language models with CAD software to automate this miniaturization. If this approach is successful, the reality of replicator technology gets closer. This is on a small scale, but closer still. Last decade, Lee Cronin and similar groups demonstrated that you can print polypropylene reactors. A small change in the structural volume can radically alter the purity and yield. The sky's the limit for this type of custom optimization. Now, the reactor design software that we'll be discussing today runs on OpenSCAD. Most 3D software, Blender, Maya, etc., allow users to hand sculpt designs. OpenSCAD is very different. It's a programmer's 3D graphing calculator. You have to manually code every adjustment. It's migraine-inducing. Now, this animation of what Kitson managed to do with OpenSCAD, the software that Cronin later automated in ChemSCAD, the successor, works by stringing several individual reactors together, pumping solvents and reagents in and out using syringes, and handling the object like you would a beaker in a laboratory, applying heat and vacuum conditioning and whatnot. But generally, across the board, in most of the pharmaceuticals that they tested using these methods, you got to a 90% yield and hovering around 95% purity at the other end. Now, very recent work has made clear that agentic 8-element frameworks with error correction logic and human interaction can exploit this design syntax. You can use the latest multimodal models to interact with designs through natural language and sending images. I'm very impressed with what people have done with this technology. Now, generally, LMMs have immense potential across all aspects of drug development. Papers show LMMs can predict drug structures from text representations. While they were testing older models in that paper, and it's not typically how we design drugs, the potential to scan vast documentation and rationalized and improved pharmaceutical or synthetic route could be a welcome addition to this program. Now, the Cronin Group in England pioneered their computing technology. These are independent autonomous factories that can manufacture almost anything as long as it's within the chemical programming language, setting beakers and stirrers and temperature and whatnot. Students can students can just email a compound or synthetic route to the machine, and a day or so later, it'll be spat out by near the output dish in beautiful crystals, or at least that's the idea. And it has been, they've been developing it for quite some time now, and I've got some partnerships with NASA. Now, for my work, I'm very interested in investigational antidepressants. The reaction conditions are typically quite harsh, even in traditional glasswares. And although we're trying to incorporate greener preparations, it's still a bit difficult. But with these optimized techniques, getting closer to allowing many researchers to investigate these psychoplastogens. These are rapid-acting antidepressants, and yeah, they seem very important for our ability to just treat any kind of mental disorder from a distance, in as quickly as you would treat or triage a physical wound. Now, speaking about remote environments, space is scary. It's hard. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. But if you could send distressed astronauts the recipe for potent, rapid-acting antidepressants, anti-nausea, or anti-cancer drugs, this project would be a worthy investment. The main issue in space isn't microgravity. It's radiation. Free radicals and ionization devastate medication and people. On Mars, when you're constantly bombarded with solar radiation, it's better to be able to prepare any kind of new medication in-house. If you've contracted some kind of new disease or you've gotten some latent DNA pathogen reactivated, you need to be able to address that in the moment, and you could only do that living half a year away by being able to synthesize it on the ground. In summary, I've discussed humans AI design software could launch computers or related software and technology into the stars and place fine chemical manufacturing in the hands of everyone. I have supplemental material for more information. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
So you mentioned when we were talking about this before. Great presentation, by the way. Amazing. I knew exactly what you're talking about. A big improvement on the
Amazing.
first one you sent me, so that's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
And I feel like this is a very interesting idea. I've never heard anything like this. I wonder how you would go about executing this. Is this like something that is usually done as a sort of? It sounds like a lot of it's been researched, but is it being commercialized now?
I'm pretty sure it is. When I was looking at the earliest publications on 3D printed reactors, they were always from a decade ago, maybe in 2020, and all of a sudden everything went quiet. And I saw these YouTube videos about new fascinating computers come use our technology at this university. So I think it's all being like developed behind closed doors or in a collaboration with NASA or governments. There are a couple individual other projects that were all looking at how to squeeze this into a box, something modular, so that you could use on the battlefield or in a rural environment or whatnot. But 3D printing it, that's unique and it's more difficult, but I think there's a lot of potential in this field. How you would do it, I've tried recently. You go to the Parramatta State Library and try to ask them to print out some reactor for a reaction that I was trying to work on. But because I haven't really been able to get anyone with a 3D printer, the filament's just over there, but the printer isn't. I haven't been able to develop this as much as I would like. Um, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so the LLM comes in. Is that to design? Is that to tune the reactor vessel, or is it to like create the drug compound?
You can do both. There are some recent open source deep research frameworks and other kind of agentic things that can collate a lot of chemical information, the synthesis and like what would be the most promising compound, or like you scan the patents and whatnot. Uh, you can do both, and it seems like at least in the GID paper, like when they were using OpenSCAD with this LLM framework, they were able to play with every aspect of the design with like an above 80% success rate across models. I think that's pretty good. Um, I understand that drug design itself with LMMs is limited. It's not how we approach this problem at all, but it is possible. So I guess we just need to develop it more or fine tune the models.
I had a question as well. For the types of LLMs being used, are some of these general LLMs to like sample things, or are they primarily training sort of task-specific things?
No, no, no. Everything I think used in the LMM CAD software papers was you know, GPT and Gemma. I think they used Gemma and Llama 2 and 3 uh, during their publications. So no, it's not specialist. It's just very general. It's preferable that it is multimodal. I understand that maybe this project won't get too far, but being able to interact with anything that you're working on in natural language, just with your voice, seems pretty cool. And being able to scan things with a photograph or have it kind of guesstimate what that would look like on the screen would also be interesting. I don't know if it's the correct way to adapt this kind of technology, but it seems to be working so far.
what are your next steps on this?
Next steps?
Yeah.
Get a 3D printer, try to spin up and connect all of these disparate projects under one umbrella. It's a bit of an ambitious thing to do, but I think it'd be good to try.
Just out of curiosity, has any of the work on the from this Lee Cronin, are they related to his assembly theory stuff, any chance, or
Yeah, they are
separate?
actually. Yeah, and I couldn't
Nice.
mention that in the paper. I didn't have enough time for it, but yeah, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So robotic computing technology on another planet, so like Mars, with the recent microfossils that they think they've discovered. If you were able to run that through not just a mass spec, but a gamut of actual tests with some reagent, that would be much more granular understanding of what happened there, where it came from, what you should expect, the kind of fragments that are interacting with us. That would be much more helpful. Not much more helpful, but it would be supplemental to the work that's being done by Perseverance now. But yeah, no, assembly theory is linked in here. I think that's how he got his foot in the NASA door. I do envy that.
Beauty.
So,
That's great.
What's the assembly theory again?
how far you can take base chemicals up the chain of complexity to where it like indicates life, basically. So if you look at
yeah, I understand. Thank you.
okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Thank you very much, Nick. That was great. So interesting.
That was
Thank
my
you.
thing.
Yeah, brilliant work, mate. That was fascinating.
Thanks. Well, who's next?